Heyo, welcome to Dark Souls 3. Today, we're going to be testing the viability of the UCHIGATANA. But what exactly is viability? Well, we'll use a few factors to determine it. We'll rank its damage to enemies, bosses, its moveset, its acquirability, and its ease of upgrading. From there, we'll determine if it's viable for a playthrough. So, let's get into the run. Gaze your eyes upon 1 million loot. I'm starting with the mercenary class because of its high dexterity, a stat that'll come in handy for our katana. Oh man, it's been a minute Dark Souls 3. I grab the Ashen Estus flask, although we won't be using it, and head over to the first boss. The giant crystal lizard, of course. Our damage isn't fantastic, but the meth beast isn't too hard, so he goes down pretty easily. We won't be needing the Titanite scale he drops, but the souls are appreciated. Hey mister, let me just get that for you. And I might as well chop out the parasite too. Whoops, 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 my bad, I missed. We don't have access to the UCHIGATANA yet, so we're gonna have to use the sellsword blades in the meantime. Luckily, their damage is pretty solid. Ew. Sorry I didn't get that parasite sooner. A few more hits and we get Udix down without taking a single blow. I put all my souls into health and then go fight the swordsman outside Firelink, who quickly demonstrates their sword superiority. It takes a few more tries than I'm willing to admit, but I finally take him down. Why kill old man outside Firelink? Swag. Also, for a cool sword. The Uchi's special light attack is Unsheathed Lunge, while the special heavy is a parry. The running light attack is a stab, and the rolling attacks are a quick slash. The running heavy, though, is a freaking ground pound. The light attacks are quick slashes, and the heavies are the same but slower. A pickaxe, you say? Interesting. After a close call with what should be considered a mini-boss, I head down to Vor. Using the Uchi against armored opponents feels like trying to open a coconut with a raw spaghetti noodle, but at least our noodle can attack fast. Frostbite and some personal rust leads us to dying on our first attempt though. So, I head back to Firelink and show off some of my parkour skills so that I can grab an Estus shard and the covetous Silver Serpent Ring, which boosts the amount of souls we gain. I also grabbed another Estus shard that I missed. Come on, again? And after talking to the goat Andre and receiving some words of affirmation, I'm ready to try Vort again. No, we still hit like a raw noodle, but the special light attack can actually put up some fair damage. And after using a combination of that and some light attacks whenever possible, we easily get into a second phase. The second phase causes me to lose my foothold a bit, and I decide to pop an ember which fully restores my HP, but it's my last heal. Fortunately, I'm able to thug it out and exploit his ice breath attack, giving me the win. I steer off into the distance a bit, and then raise my band. Dang it. Oh hey, it's you. Ready for that kiss now? Alright, guess not.
Please, grant me death.
Well, aren't you a dreary son of a bitch? How did you do that? Look at how much I light up the hallway. That's insane. Where was this in the Tomb of the Giants? Oh, it's you. Ooh, a free level. Don't mind if I do. Wait, what does that say? For more free level ups, go die. Alright, seems straightforward enough. Oh hey, he wasn't kidding. I don't feel so good. I should have listened to my mom when she said don't take souls from strangers. Back in the undead settlement, I get assaulted by a gang of gaggling goons and attacked by varying sizes of vagrant vicious vermin. Try saying that 10 times fast. Can trees have cancer? Oh god, the cancer's alive. And it has a hand? What the hell is this thing? The Uchi can at least hit its pus sacks with its decent range, but eventually I'll come back to that later. Sir, can you please get off the ow! This is Sigurd's fault. You really think you have what it takes to wield the Great Club? Pathetic. What does putting this out do? Huh, that felt kinda good. Well, what if I do another one? I felt good too. It's like, by putting these lights out and making the world a bit darker, my own light shines a bit brighter. Anyways, I say hi to the big bad wolf of Aaron and then grab the Dream Chaser's ashes, letting us upgrade the Uchi further. I also decided to buy the life ring, which is handy because it boosts our health a little. And after upgrading our sword to +2, I head up the Farron elevator in order to fight the stray demon for some spare souls. It goes swimmingly. The second try goes a bit better. It goes a bit better. His grab move is really the only thing to look out for, and after one last butt slam, the stray demon is put to rest. With its souls, we can buy some more Titanite shards and upgrade the Uchi to +4. Back in Farron, I ran into some Dark Wraith Knights who clearly weren't very grateful for me farming them for Titanite chunks in Dark Souls 1. Do you think they planned the matching choreography? Oh boy, the Abyss Watchers. For some reason, this boss took by far the most amount of attempts out of any boss this entire run, which is weird because I don't usually have much of a problem with them. I could generally survive the first phase, but I didn't have enough momentum to get past the second. And so I died. Over and 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 over until I didn't. Over my many deaths, I learned a few tricks for the Watchers. For example, in their first phase, I learned to let them fight amongst themselves to save my resources. And by focusing on one at a time and letting them whittle down each other, I was able to get in the second phase with a lot more heals. Another important tidbit I learned was that you can backstab them, which not only boosts damage, but also forces me to try and close distance. A big issue I had with phase 2 was the fact that they dodged around a lot, meaning I missed out on damage windows, but by forcing myself to try and get a backstab, I'd close distance so then I could at least hit them even if I missed a backstab. The Uchi also has a really good running light attack which helped me close distance, but most importantly, I just got it gooder. I learned their moves and how to dodge them after several attempts of bashing my head into a brick wall. And eventually, I finally beat the Abyss Watchers. Oh shit, Humphrey died. Oh my god, you killed Humphrey, you bastard! I hope you burn in Lost Izalith. Oh, and thanks for the swag. Over in Farron, I get attacked by a Christ-style Sagi, whose thin ropes didn't take kindly to the katana. Where did you come from? Where did you go? Where did you come from, Crystal Sage Joe? Needless to say, this fight was quick and easy. I used the souls to buy the tower key, which gives us access to the Estus ring, boosting the power of our Estus flasks. Our new gear looks cool and all, but I still look like a glowing Slim Jim. Let's fix that. 40,000 souls? What madman would grind 40,000 souls for that? 99 hollowing. That's crazy. There we go. Much better. I swear the dogs in this game would do absolutely anything to catch you. I encounter a not so gentle giant in the place where my next ring is found, which increases damage when my health is full. Basically, it helps when I'm not being bad at the game. So, not very often. Well, this room was pretty uneventful. The deacons were, well, the deacons, and after several minutes of shoving myself between fat cultists, they go down easily. By the way, I haven't mentioned it much because it's not that interesting, but the spare souls I have are spent primarily in vigor and in dexterity to increase health and damage. Anyways, I head down to the catacombs of Karthus and cut the bridge's connections, similar to how I cut connections with loved ones when I become depressed because of this bitch-ass game. I also grab the Grave Warden's ashes, which lets me buy an infinite supply of the Karthus Rauji, a consumable that greatly boosts blood buildup for a minute. Naturally, I buy as many as I can. Hey Mr. Mimic, wanna join the cause against demons? I will take that as a yes. Well, I kinda need this bridge to fall so I can climb back up. Well, I guess it was worth a shot. Ooh, I'm gonna touch the cup. What's the worst it could do? Kill me? God damn it, it brought me back to the Tomb of the Giants. Give me those bracelets, I want compensation. If you're wondering why we're not using our new Karthus rogues, then you're either A, B, C, then you're either a beginner or an idiot. Surprisingly, a skeleton can't bleed. For whatever reason, this fight ended up taking a lot longer than usual. I couldn't get his last piece of drip off because his hand was always in the air. That, or he would spam his breath attack over and over, which prevented me from reaching his hand. Finally though, I'm able to de-ice the Ice Lord. Before progressing though, I head back down to the catacombs to finish off the demon race for making me have to fight the Bed of Chaos. Our damage is alright, even good considering how fast we can chain attacks. I ran out of heals a bit early because I'm an idiot, but I'm able to clutch out a win after a very close call. Every now and again, you sometimes stop and really take in how beautiful Dark Souls is, and then a dog from hell comes and reminds you what game you're playing. Stupid dog, you need to go kill the Deacons first. I know it's not very intuitive, but wait, stop, I'm kidding! Oh boy, time for the worst area in the game. Luckily, it's not too terrible if you know what you're doing, but on my first playthrough, this dungeon was hell. Now, I still get a bit lost from time to time, but you know, it happens. Eventually, I make it to the Profane Capital, and now it's time to address the elephant in the room. No, I will not be using the Uchi against Yorm because that would defeat the purposes of this video. This isn't a challenge run where I can only use the UCHIGATANA, rather it's a testing video that demonstrates its effectiveness throughout the game. Using it here against a gimmick boss when you're clearly supposed to be using a weapon they gave you doesn't prove anything about how viable the Uchi is. This is also why we skip optional gimmick bosses, they don't prove anything about the weapon itself. And so, after a completely regular Yorm fight, I head back to Irithyll for the next boss. Pontiff Sullivan is quite the difficult boss, but our damage output is at least decent. Regardless, this guy is relentless. So, I went and got a bit stronger. I first grabbed the Faring Coal and then killed a Diamond Lizard for its gem so that I can infuse the Uchi with sharp scaling, or an increase in dex scaling, which will boost our damage a little. Then it leveled up a good bit and increased the power of my flasks. And with that, I was ready for Soli. Our damage is quite a bit higher, going from about 137 to about 200. But the gooding still needs to get. Next try, I got him to second phase, but it wasn't quite there yet. So, I decided to try out our new toy. The Uchi has innate blood buildup, but I haven't invested any stats into luck, so I actually haven't even seen a single bleed proc this entire run. And even with the Carthus Rogue pop, Pontiff would not bleed easily. Next attempt, I do get a bleed pop, and man, that damage is juicy! And with it, I'm able to win. Past an illusory wall and down a ladder, there's a room with some dogs in it. Killing them grants you a ring that boosts HP, stamina, and equip load. We're going to use it to replace the ring that boosts souls gain because it doesn't serve any combative advantage. There's also Easterner's Ashes, which when given to the hag unlocks large Titanite shards. With this, we can upgrade the Uchi to +6. Oh giant weird spinny tower thing, how I've missed you. Up next is the mutilated corpse of Gwendolyn, who's too angry and set on revenge against me to die. Also, is it me, or does this arena feel way smaller than Ornstein and Smo's? Oh, you put fire in your short hump, big guy, you think you're so tough, you think a little bit of fire is gonna Oh, that was easy. What happened to you? Fell out of your chair, or... well, goodbye. Hello. I don't think the pole dancer is all that difficult, or at least not as difficult as people make her out to be. As long as you rotate so that you're behind her, you shouldn't have too many issues. Now, yeah, she gets the zoomies in second phase, and it's a bit more difficult, but again, just stay behind her and you'll be fine. For the most part. I actually managed to get a bleed proc on her without using any Carthus rogues as well. And after a few minutes of rotating the second attempt, I pop another Carthus rogue, which leads to another bleed pop and eventually the win. Dude, I got this pretty cool bull for you. Thought you might like it. You could've just said no! Continuing the boss gauntlet, we have the crazy naked dragon dad. Our damage is meh, but he's not too difficult of a boss, so it's whatever. Second phase, he murders his baby, as every father does, and goes dragon shit crazy. He's not that hard, but his dash attack is one of the hardest moves to dodge. There's almost zero tell of a windup. Like he just takes off out of nowhere. Unfortunately, I end up succumbing to the poison from the swamp leading up to the boss arena. Second attempt, I make sure to not get poisoned, and I also use a Carthus rogue. I never got a bleed proc the entirety of the last fight, but I get one almost instantly in this fight, which goes to show how effective the Carthus rogue is. Okay, come on, this has to be a glitch, right? Regardless, I finished the fight strong with 7 flasks left. I quickly learned how to sit a specific way and head down to Champion Gundyr, who wastes no time in showing me his new boots. I think that this is actually one of the best flowing bosses in the game. It makes me feel like I'm playing in slow motion. The second phase is absolutely a bit trickier as his aggression ramps up, but we're still able to secure the win. I grab the infinite bone shard and then head all the way back to Irithyll Dungeon. Man, all that running has me tired. I'm gonna take a quick break. What? You know, it's actually kind of peaceful. Okay. Oh my god, guys, the Uchi's overpowered, guys. It's one-shotting bosses, guys. If you go over here, not to be confused with over there, you'll find a ring that boosts defense. We'll be replacing the life ring for it because at this point, damage negation is more important than the bit of health we gain from the life ring. After almost getting pushed off the map by the thing, you can also find some ashes. They let you buy Titanite chunks, which we can use to upgrade the Uchi to +9. You guys ever think about how many bosses you kill from either ringing a bell or trying to ring a bell? No? Oh, okay. Oh my god, guys, look, it's the boss from Night Rain. Sorry. The Uchi is easily able to shred through the wyvern, and has enough poise damage to stance break it consistently. The Nameless King himself, however, can shrug off our hits quite easily. But I mainly just had to relearn his moveset. Which I did. But the footage for his fight corrupted. After the fight, I also maxed out the Uchi with the Titanite slap dust past the arena before heading over the Dragon Slayer armor, who only took one try. But that footage also got corrupted. Moving on, it was time for the Twin Princes. This fight was actually really easy. The Uchi was able to take advantage of every single attack window and dish out respectable damage. And after a quick first phase, it was time for phase 2. It's essentially the same fight, but just with more annoying things flying at you and trying to overwhelm you. Especially this attack. Man, it pisses me off when I'm not expecting it. While taking down the Elder Prince, the Uchi gives me enough range to also hit the Younger Prince if I position correctly. Using this, I'm able to beat the Twin Princes after only one rotation. And with that, it's time for the DLCs. Oh look, another rickety bridge. I'm sure nothing will go wrong. Okay, it's fine. We all know bridges can still work with only half of it supported. What a game. Hey lady, your bridge sucks. What? Using the fallen bridge as a ladder, I made my way down to the Sif and Artorias wannabes. I killed all the small wolves first, and then wasted my heals trying to parry the Grave Tender, with some success. I eventually killed the Grave Tender when the wolf comes in, and they don't prove to be very difficult either. I pop a bleed as they enter phase 2, and they don't last much longer after that. At this point, I fit the Dexterity and Vigor soft cap, so I've just been pumping souls into Endurance. I head back to the bridge and take the ladder, not to be confused with the bridge ladder, and then got PTSD from the Beta Chaos entrance. This guy must not know I've been training my parrying. Haha, nice, first try. Not gonna lie, the Uchi gets some points for being able to do well against NPC fights, especially if it's being used by someone who's actually competent at parrying. Ew, get off of me, you freak. Damn it, why am I so bad against grab attacks? Does anyone else get lost here like every single playthrough? Hey bridge lady. This isn't edited by the way, she's just that bright. Free took me the second most number of tries this run, and that's from the mix of me forgetting the timing for a lot of her moves, as well as the fact that this fight is really long. I never died in her first phase, but I used up a lot of my flasks that I needed later on. But on my 5th try, I get a promising run. At this point, I've pretty much mastered her first phase. The Uchi was really good here because not only could it attack fast and do good damage, but it could also flinch free. And so, I'm able to beat first phase with only one heal. In second phase, you need to keep eyes on both bosses at the same time. Not only can one attack while focusing on the other, Free can also run off and attempt to heal, which can either be super bad for you if you let her get it off, or really good if you can punish it. If you play it right and be patient, there will be plenty of opportunities for big damage. And with that, it's time for phase 3 with all but 2 of my flasks left. I don't have much to say about this phase other than just be patient and wait for damage windows. This was quite the smooth fight, and the Uchi performed very well. This fight is probably the best example of where the Uchi shines. Smaller enemies that can be flinched and stunned from the rapid attacks get really torn apart. And once and for all, the bridge lady is finally put down. On to the next DLC. In this DLC, there are upgraded versions of rings that can be found, such as the Ring of Steel Protection and the Ring of Favor, which we equip for their lesser versions for obvious reasons. Alright then. Okay, is it the demon in pain or the demon from below that transforms into the super mega laser demon? I think this fight is one of the hardest in the game. First phase isn't too difficult, especially with good saggers that are pretty easy to hit. And second phase is actually even easier with only one enemy to deal with now. Now, you're probably wondering why I think this is one of the harder bosses, and that's because the real fight has yet to actually begin. These first parts serve to whittle down your flask so then third phase can shine. Literally. Now this is where the real meat and potatoes of the fight is. The real beans and toast, the real pumpkin and bananas of the fight is here. This guy has significantly more health, which turns our god-slaying katana into a toothpick. On top of that, they gain a whole bunch of high damaging moves, with most of them being quite difficult to dodge. But stance breaks are still common, even with a low poise damaging weapon like the Uchi. Also, if you position correctly, you can greatly exploit their ultimate attack if you kill a demon in pain first. Fortunately though, I was able to beat this boss second try with 5 flasks left. You know, if I had a nickel for every time I raised a banner and called flying demons to come pick me up in Dark Souls 3, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't much, but it's weird it happened twice. Oh now, what the hell? That's terrifying. Why are you here, my dear? Did you guys know that if you stand here, you're actually completely invulnerable to attack? No, but like seriously, he can't touch you. If you stand a bit more to the right. Next boss is Half-Light, and I hate PvP in this game, so bosses that mimic PvP fighting are not my forte. Actually, I'm gonna come back to this guy, and for now, I'm gonna fight a boss I enjoy a lot more. Midir has more health than even third phase Demon Prince, but I still find him a bit more fair and fun to dodge. He also has quite large damage windows that the Uchi can take advantage of. Second phase honestly doesn't change too much, especially since he didn't use a super duper epic awesome beam attack this run. I eventually pop the guaranteed stagger, which all but ends the fight. Another first try victory. Time for Half-Light. Honestly, I don't really know how this fight works. Do you even need to kill a giant? No clue. This fight is annoying at best and a shit show at worst. But finally, after minutes of awkward combat, I beat Half-Light. You dare try to outshine me? I think that Gale is the best flowing boss in the entire Dark Souls series. The entire fight feels like a dance, and a long one too. His health is only slightly below Midir's. Honestly, first phase is pretty easy once you learn it though, and he flinches pretty often, which allows for some free damage or a heal. Second phase is when it gets intense, as now you'll need to dodge both his sword and his cape. But third phase is when shit gets downright chaotic. I did pretty good on my first attempt, considering it was a first attempt, but my next attempt was much better. I was trying to get off as many special attacks as I could in first phase, because there'd be pretty much no time for me to get them off in second phase. I used a bit more heals than I wanted to, since I wanted to have as much healing as possible for the much more difficult second and third phases, but I still did have 11 flasks going into phase 2. Phase 2 begins with some nice lore walking before getting sprayed down by a crossbow with a switch. I had a very good phase 2, and ended up only using 1 flask, meaning I still had 10 entire heals for the last phase. Because of this, I was very generous in my flasks and was willing to use them suboptimally in order to keep myself safe. Even though third phase is absolute chaos, there's still beauty in chaos, and this fight was very much still a dance. I started burning through a lot of resources at the very end, so thankfully I saved up earlier. But, eventually, I'm able to finally defeat Gale after burning through 9 flasks alone in phase 3. And, with the DLCs done, there is only one more thing to do. The Soul Cinder feels very squishy after dealing with the likes of the last few bosses, and his attacks also feel very weak. The second phase feels a bit more difficult as you get one of the harder forms, but he still gets shredded. Not gonna lie, I've always sucked at fighting Gwyn, so phase 3 felt a lot more difficult than the other phases. The damage also feels a lot stronger. Put me down, you bastard! The saving grace of this fight is the fact that he's still pretty squishy. And eventually, I defeat the last boss of this run after having a bit more trouble in the last phase than I care to admit. Finally, I can extinguish all of the light in this world, except for the light created by me. I will be the brightest thing in this realm, as I am the only remaining source of light. So how viable was the Uchi? The damage to enemies was pretty good throughout the game, especially to NPCs who you could parry. The damage to bosses was overall good, especially when using Carthless Rogues, but the damage was limited when fighting heavily armored bosses. The moveset was absolutely fantastic. The running light attack could close a lot of distance, and the special light attack could dish out good damage. Not to mention, it comes with the built-in parry. The Uchi was pretty easy to acquire, and you can get it at the very beginning of the game. And it takes a normal upgrade route, so 10 out of 10. So, in my opinion, the UCHIGATANA is viable, and I recommend using it if you haven't already.